Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today in this video lecture I'll be discussing the importance of Act 2 of the play A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. In Act 2, I have got the text with me. In Act 2, what we are going to see in the very beginning is Nora's state of anxiety. That time is actually running out for her, which indicates the impending disaster. So there is entirely a sense of ruin, a sense of chaos in the household that is indicated by the setting of the scene as well, because we find that the Christmas tree, which in Act 1 was well decorated and it was being well prepared by Nora for the celebration of Christmas, that in this scene stands stripped and in a very untidy state, which in a way highlights or reflects Nora's disturbed psychological state. So Nora is, after having got threatened by Krogstad in the previous act, here she's not at all in a calm mental state. Rather, we find her to be very, very disturbed, and she behaves in a very insane manner, resembling the Victorian historical woman, because we know that during the Victorian period, whenever, like the late 19th century, whenever any woman appeared to be emotionally distressed, it was thought that she might descend into insanity very soon. And that is why in the Victorian period this madness was almost always associated with women. And then after this we find that we come to know the story of Annie Mary's life, where she informs Nora that she was once impregnated by a man, and that man turned out to be ungrateful, and so he did not take the responsibility of the child, and for that purpose Annie Mary had to keep herself away from her children for the sake of supporting her family, for the sake of her children, because during that time period it was really difficult for women to earn a living on their own, because women were not allowed to participate in the public domain and support the family. So after this very instance of Annie Mary shows the sacrificial role of a woman, and later on we will find that Nora and Mrs. Linde and Annie Mary, these three women in the play, they appear to be sacrificial in their life, and they did sacrifice their own happiness for the sake of their near ones, for the sake of their family. And here we find that during the conversation with Annie Mary, Nora is actually trying to make all the necessary arrangements for her children, because when she was a child, she was taken care of by Annie Mary as her she almost played the role of her mother, because during that time, while she was very young, she didn't have her mother. So now she is trying to make all the necessary arrangements so that in case she has to leave everything behind, her children would be taken care of by Annie Mary. And that is why here we find that this decision, okay, if ever taken by Nora, it won't be a selfish act, because she is very, very concerned about her children, and that is why she is trying to make these arrangements. And at the same time, these words of Nora foreshadow her final decision. After that, we find a conversation between Nora and Mrs. Linde, and here we see that Mrs. Linde praises Nora for her good qualities, and she says that she is not the daughter of a father who is good for nothing. Rather, she has inherited several good qualities from her father. And here a brief reference is made to Dr. Rank the disease he's suffering from, because he's suffering from tuberculosis in his spine. And then Nora informs Christine that while she was pregnant, she came to know about Dr. Rank's depraved life, his hedonistic life, which has affected him physically, because he has inherited this disease from his father. And then Nora's illusion regarding Torvald's love, Torvald's affection for her is also seen, because she tells Mrs. Linde that Torvald is so terribly in love with her that he is very possessive and he always wants her completely to himself. And then we find that Mrs. Linde's suspicion regarding, the friendship that is portrayed in the play between Dr. Rank and Nora is doubted a little bit, is suspected a little bit by Mrs. Christine, because she feels somewhere that maybe the money that Nora got for her husband's sickness, in order to treat her husband's sickness, it was given to her by Dr. Rank. But that is completely denied by Nora. And here then, as Helmer is about to enter, we find Nora tells Mrs. Linde to get inside the room, to get into another room with the mending, because Torvald does not like her doing any kind of knitting or mending. And this shows, this reflects Torvald's dislike for anything associated with femininity. And here we find the way he treats Nora is the kind of treatment, which we come across between a parent and a child, because he simply comes and takes her under the chin. Now a conversation takes place between Nora and Helmer, which is going to be a serious one. And here we find Nora takes resort to manipulation and tries to be that helpless, obedient wife before Torvald, because she knows that Torvald always wants her to behave like an obedient wife, and that's why she does that. And this manipulating attitude on the part of Nora simply shows that there is lack of genuine, emotional connection between the two, and their marriage is nothing but a performance where Nora continues to appease her husband Torvald, and she continues to perform her role as his obedient wife. And here she brings up the subject of Krogstad and tries to speak on his behalf and persuade Torvald so that he allows Krogstad to keep his job at the bank, which annoys him, because he is really surprised to see that Nora could dare, to talk about or to talk in favor of a man who doesn't have a very good social reputation. So Nora directly requests Torvald, and Torvald, as I said, he is offended by this step taken by Nora. Nora also explains the reason behind her fear, because she says that there was a time when her father was, kind of defamed by a man who wrote something nasty regarding him in the papers, and so she's afraid that a man of such ill repute like Krogstad might also do the same and defame him in society and cause harm to all of them. And here we find that Helmer actually, he doesn't have any regard, he doesn't have any respect for Nora's feelings, and very bluntly he he speaks disrespectfully of her father, saying that he has never been very honorable in his business career. And this shows his disregard for Nora's feelings, because he does not take into concern that his words might upset her, his disrespectful words might offend her. And here we get to see that for Torvald, his social reputation matters the most. He places his social reputation above everything else, and that makes him, not care about Nora's feelings, her thoughts, and even her fears. Just because she, as a woman, as an individual, has never been taken seriously. So here too, her feelings, her fears are not taken seriously as well. And here we find that no matter how much Nora tries to convince Torvald to change his decision, he is completely reluctant to change his decision, because here he says that he doesn't want to become a laughing stock at the bank, because if he gets persuaded by his wife and people come to know at the bank that he has got influenced especially by a woman, then it would make him a laughing stock. And besides this, he doesn't even want to give this impression to the people that he is someone who can very easily give in to outside pressure. So another reason that gets revealed here behind Torvald's decision of firing Krogstad is that there was a time when Torvald and Krogstad, they used to be friends, and now Krogstad behaves in a way in public with Torvald in such a way that it embarrasses him, because he doesn't want anyone to know that once he had connection with this man who does not have a good social reputation. Because according to him, the way he behaves with him in public, he tries to always establish that he is very familiar, he's very well acquainted with Torvald, and that he does not want. And this very reason is found to be very petty by Nora. And when she utters the word petty, it annoys Torvald a little bit, because Torvald thinks that maybe Nora considers him to be petty. And Torvald is a man, who would always want others to lend too much importance to him as a man. He would never want anyone to look down upon him. And here, a connection is established between Krogstad and Nora, because Torvald's bad treatment, the way he is treated by Torvald's bad treatment of Krogstad and Torvald's treatment of Nora, place them on equal footing. Krogstad is ill-treated by Krogstad is not shown any sympathy by Torvald because of his social class. And as far as Nora is concerned, Nora is also not given any importance as an individual just because she is a woman. So she suffers because of her gender, and Krogstad suffers because of his social class. And now Helmer immediately dispatches the notice which he's supposed to send to Krogstad. And here, since Nora has taken the initiative to speak for Krogstad, he takes it as an insult, but still he says that he forgives her for this anxiety of hers, because she's afraid of this man, because she's afraid that he might cause harm to her entire family, to Torvald the most. So he says that he takes it as an insult. Why? Because for a man, for a man like Torvald, it is really difficult to accept that a man who is much below him in social status would have any kind of power over him. And since Nora's fears, reveal that, indicate that Krogstad does have some power over him if he wants to harm harm Torvald. Okay, so that is taken as a humiliation by Torvald. And then we find how Torvald, in this act, in one of his speeches, he says, he projects how manly he is. He boasts of his manhood, and he says that if ever, any such thing happens, if ever any crisis emerges in their relationship, then he would be the first one to take the entire blame on himself. But although he tries to, assert his capability as a man, but as readers we shall see that it is simply distortion of truth, because there is a huge difference between appearance and reality. Because Torvald is actually, in reality, someone else. He is not the man he claims himself to be. And the assurance that he provides to Nora here is nothing, is nothing but a facade. Why? Because when he says that, all right, then we will share it, Nora, as man and wife. That's what we'll do. How much he means his words, that is doubtful. And then Dr. Rank comes in, and a cozy conversation takes place between Nora and Dr. Rank, and she also receives the news of Dr. Rank's ill-deteriorated physical condition. He informs her that his final days are about to come, and when his final days would come, he would simply lock himself up in his room and not allow anyone to see him, especially Torvald, because according to Dr. Rank, Torvald is not mentally so strong a man. According to Dr. Rank, Torvald hates anything that is ugly, so he would never allow Torvald to visit him when his body would begin to disintegrate. And as far as Nora's attitude here is concerned, or her reaction is concerned towards Dr. Rank's news of his deteriorated health, she appears to be very childish, and she's also unable to accept the reality of Dr. Rank's health condition. And here we also come to know that Dr. Rank says that he is punished for a sin that he has not committed. He is punished for sins that have been committed by his father. And here again the concept of naturalism comes into play, where we find that which says that children do get influenced by, do get affected, do get corrupted by their parents. So, be it parents' health, or be it parents' attitude, morality, everything, in some way or the other affects their children. And we also find in this chapter that although in the beginning, since Nora is too much engrossed in her own problems, and she's not able to pay much attention to Dr. Rank's health condition, but still we find that she is genuinely concerned about him. And Dr. Rank also feels a bit jealous, because he thinks that after his death, in their house, his place will be replaced by Mrs. Linde. Here, the kind of conversation or the kind of behavior that is displayed by Nora towards Dr. Rank, it has an element of a flirtation. And during the Victorian period, this kind of friendship between a man and a woman was not accepted, and it was considered to be quite scandalous. But what reveals here is one aspect of Nora's nature, which is that in the presence of Dr. Rank, she is able to be her true self, because we find her, flaunting, exhibiting her femininity. We find her flaunting her sexuality, and that is why, the way she flirts with Dr. Rank, it appears to be something which Nora never does in the presence of her husband, Torvald. And why is it so? It's because Torvald treats her as a child. Torvald never looks upon her as a woman. He never gave any importance to her. He never tried to appreciate her womanly qualities. Instead, he always treated her as a child who is, who doesn't have enough intelligence, who is very careless. So here we find that in the presence of Dr. Rank, Nora is able to be her true self. And here again we find that since she shares a very cozy relationship with Dr. Rank, she tries to confide in him. She tries to confide her big secret in Dr. Rank, but still she withdraws. Although she makes an attempt and asks Dr. Rank to help her, that she would want him, to prove his friendship. But the very moment Dr. Rank makes a clear confession of his love for her, she instantly withdraws and contradicts herself, saying that there is no problem actually in her life. It was all in her imagination. And that underlines Nora's consciousness about her moral integrity. Though, Dr. Rank's urge to offer help is very genuine, but still Nora withdraws and decides not to take any help from Dr. Rank. Actually, what she was going to do, she was about to take the help of Dr. Rank in convincing Torvald, in convincing Torvald that he allows Krogstad to keep his job at the bank, and for that he wanted to take help of Dr. Rank. But now, after having known about his, true feelings for her, she withdraws, because she feels that now if she takes any kind of help from Dr. Rank, it would be unjustified on her part. It would mean, taking advantage of Dr. Rank's affection for her. So she simply decided not to disclose her big secret to Dr. Rank. Dr. Rank, she only considers him to be a good friend, nothing more than that. She's only in love with Torvald. And here you find that, here after this, Nora makes a distinction between loving someone and being with someone. Okay, and here when Dr. Rank asks for her leave and says that if she should leave, then she simply becomes normal. She regains her normalcy and says that no, she would like him to visit their place, to continue visiting their place. And here she makes a very clear distinction, saying, well, you see, there are those people you love and those people you'd almost rather be with, which means for Nora, he loves Dr. Rank as a friend, but as far as her life is concerned, she would definitely, certainly like or love to be with Torvald. She would love to spend her entire life with Torvald, her husband. And then Dr. Rank says that yes, there is something truth in that. So she says, when I was a girl at home, I loved Daddy best, of course, but I also thought it great fun if I could sleep into the maid's room. For one thing, they never preached at me, and they always talked about such exciting things. So here, a distinction is made. When I was a girl at home, I loved Daddy best. So she loved her father very much. And then she says, but then she says that she felt more comfortable, She always looked for an opportunity to slip into the maid's room. Why? Because they would never preach her, they would never dictate her anything. So she felt more comfortable in their presence, in the maid's room. So here we find that Nora, what she means to say that Nora was, being dictated in her parental home by her father. And after this, she says that, yes, I love Daddy, it's true, but I would like to be with Torvald. Okay, but I would love to be with someone else. This is what she implies. This is what she means to say. That yes, Dr. Rank, I do love you as my friend, as a very good friend of ours, but I would love to be with Torvald. Just as I loved my daddy, but I would rather be with the maid. So it also indicates that Nora was not very much, comfortable with the kind of treatment that was with the way she was treated by her father. And after this, the maid comes in and informs that someone has come. And again we see Krogstad's appearance. So Krogstad he makes his appearance for the second time in the play. And we shall, continue discussing the remaining part of Act 2 in the following lecture. Until then, stay tuned, and if you like the lecture, if you like my explanation, do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.